Hello and welcome everyone to the final stage of Division 2 in Zoom Racing League, where we arrive in Mexico City, where the sun shines brightly on the stage which three drivers may win it all. Alpine, Alfa Romeo, and Alpine again. Stelios, Simon, Tinel. Who may it be to win the championship here? Around this track, 17 turns and 2.674 miles and 3 DRS zones, 2 decent overtaking opportunities with one 50-51. We have a great stage for our final battle tonight. And in no other way would we do it than full qualifying. I am Nathan Doan, and I am joined in the booth by your favorite, Big Mama Frank. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing well. I'm excited. We had a pretty interesting race yesterday. The biggest thing with that race was with Nicolas Piché winning the race, he put Alfa Romeo in a really good spot to finish P2 in the combined constructors. I think they lead Red Bull by just a few points. I think the total is 16 points in combined, followed by Alpine, Red Bull is followed by Alpine by 13 points. So all three of those teams have a really good chance of winning combined. The only issue is Alfa Romeo, their second driver, has suffered a season ban, so their seats, even if anyone raced in their seat, they would not score points in the second seat. So it's just up to Simon to try to hold that lead.
Yes, it is. And of course, as I tried to highlight so brilliantly, we have our Division 2 championship fight tonight. Let's look at that real quick. So, I don't have the standings up here, but as it goes, we have Stelios Repas in the lead by 12 points. He has 206, followed by Simon Colston, who has 194, followed by Tinel, who has 190. All drivers may win it tonight, but some things will have to happen. So Simon will have to score more than 13 points, or more than 12 points, I should say, to beat Stelios. However, if Tinel then outscores Simon by more than 4 points, he will win. So, a little bit complicated. I probably could have worded it a lot better. One thing is certain. Alpine have won the Constructors' Championship in Division 2. However, from P2 to P6, we have 5. No, wait, I can't count. Okay, on the standings it says 1 to 6, and then it's followed by 5. But our top 5: Alpine P1, and then P2 through P5. 4 teams separated by 12 points. It goes Red Bull, Mercedes, not Simon Colston, but Alfa Romeo, and then Ferrari. So, lovely championship action here. But we'll start it off with how we do every single time in Zoom Racing League. We will start it off with a qualifying lap. Lots of drivers, as always, on the intermediate tire. I have to say, with how it looks right now, I mean, I'm not certain, but it looks like we could even see some real use of the intermediate tire. So, do you have the weather for us tonight, BMF?
Yeah, so far, according to telemetry, we will be dry. It should be sunny by the end of our full qualifying session. And then for the race, it looks like it'll be maybe a little bit cloudy, but it doesn't look like that we have any chance of rain.
Alright, so let's go on board with the man I honestly didn't think I would ever say his name again. Eric McNerney is back, and I had no idea, but here he is on the medium tire. He'll probably be setting a faster lap than most of these intermediate drivers, but it looks like he has used all of his battery already, which in the race we know him for, but in qualifying, I mean, I feel like that's a bit excessive. So I'm going to assume he's on his in-lap 0% battery before he's anywhere close to the line, but we will have to see. Q1 lap times will be an estimated second slower than the times in Q3, if not more. Saw lots of that in Division 1 last night. Track evolution pretty key here. 19.4 goes to Eric McNerney, who was indeed on a hot lap, and we'll expect times closer to the 18s from Slick Tires on their first runs. intermediate tires on most for now, though. Now that we've got the strategy out of the way for Q1, let's talk about what it might look like for Q2 and 3. So most drivers in Q1 will be running 1 lap on medium tires, 1 lap on softs, if not 2 laps on softs, or just 1. Then in Q2 it will be normally 1 used soft run and then 1 new. And then it will be the same for Q3. And some drivers may opt for the soft tire in the race, so they will be saving a set. And we may not see a 3rd, 4th qualifying run. But anyways, another man I did not know would be here in attendance tonight, Leo Hudson. I haven't seen this man's name in so long, but he is indeed here. Make no mistake, T-Nell is here to fight his championship, but of course he has a name that I cannot repeat. So there he is, in all glory. And Simon Collison is here, and of course Stelios Repas had to be here as well, so nothing to interfere with our championship fight tonight. BMF, there's one big question, of course. Who do you think will win it tonight?
I think it would be a fool if I said anyone else other than Stelios. Stelios has shown really good pace. I mean, he had one off week last week, but he kind of complained before the race several times about how much he just didn't like Circuit of the Americas, or just how rough it was for him. So, but we'll see. I mean, maybe he hasn't said anything about this track yet, but maybe he's trying to hide his hand. I mean, I would assume that Simon has been putting in some solid time because he does have a solid shot. I can't imagine T-Nell will actually be in a position to do it unless something big happened to both Simon and Stelios. But yeah, like I said, I would have to put my money on Stelios. He's just been so consistent, so consistently just smashing everyone.
I think that is a very fair look into it. That being said, if something happens to Stelios and he finishes, I believe, E5 or below, and Simon doesn't win it, then hold on, let me just get to the point that I was trying to get. If T-Nell wins it and Simon gets second, and something else happens to Stelios in a point position where he wouldn't outscore Simon, then that means T-Nell would be the champion. So it's a little bit more like possible to happen than you think, but like you said, definitely would be a bit crazy to say that Stelios Repas would not win it. And you have to ask the question, will there be team play between the Alpines? If I'm the team principal, I'm saying absolutely not. You go and fight for your championship the way that you want. We've already won the Constructors' Championship, and Luca here is being impeded by a Williams, but he is on the hard tire during qualifying. We know Luca to be one of the faster drivers in all of Zoom Racing League, but I think he's going for something of a last to first here. 3 laps done on the hard tire. He may even be doing a race sim in qualifying. You never know. And he has combined behind him. Actually, no, that's Leo Hudson. And Labib. Who else to go P1? Yeah, we always knew. We always knew. But that being said, he is one of our first drivers to be leading the slick tire runs. The first driver to set a reasonable lap time on the soft tires. And yeah, full qualifying, as we know, bottom 5 get eliminated. However, we only have 16 drivers, so only 1 will be eliminated. And right now in that spot, Stelios Repas, it'd be a huge shock if he were to stay in that spot for whatever reason. But if he did, we would be in for a big moment in the championship. Then as Q2 goes, of course, bottom 5 get eliminated once again. I think we might have a few late joiners, but I don't know what that will look like. And then, of course, Q3, our top 10 shootout. In full qualifying, I mean, it's a very similar story to what we've had all season. Not much to talk about, is there, BMF?
Yeah, I mean, it is a little bit. I was hoping we would have more people for this. I mean, we just have just enough to do full qualifying sessions. So yeah, the first session is definitely just going to be go out there, do a lap, or do one valid lap, and then, it's just kind of a race between the bottom few. But I mean, we're here. I think it's interesting to see. I mean, that Labib has already done a lap so early. I guess it makes sense. He probably was just worried about invalidating, but if he plans to go out again to only beat one person, I think a 17.4 would probably be good enough.
16.8 for him. Mateo, the two Mercedes P1 and 2. As you said, only one person needs to be eliminated, so I think I can agree with you on the fact that Labib will be safe. But yeah,
Mateo will definitely get through with that time. If I had to guess, it'd probably be maybe a high 17, maybe just over 18 seconds will probably be the cutoff. One thing that I'm going to be curious about is we have a few people that don't really play this game very often, but like Luca and Max. You mentioned Luca before is one of the fastest people in the server. He just kind of shared with us before the race he hasn't touched the game since October. So that's kind of one of the reasons, because technically within our server and with our placements, both him and Max were placed into D1, but with kind of the need for reserves towards the end of the season, and also like the ratings kind of how they are, like the top of D2 right now, their ratings are much higher than we had anticipated. So, and Max was kind of on that cusp anyway. I think if we were to do the placements again now, I think Max would absolutely be a D2, at least a D2 reserve, and be locked to D1. Luca, it's a coin flip because we haven't really seen him race for over a year, really. So, we'll see how it goes.
That's completely fair to me, and I think Max is on his in-lap. But yeah, Max returns, I believe. I mean, it's been so long now, but I do believe that he has been, or he was the champion of last season's Division 2, if not the one before.
He was champion last season in Division 2. It was a much different kind of division, so we had more drivers. One of the issues that we've had this season is we had fewer signups. We D2 and D3 basically got smushed. So for the people that would generally be Division 3, kind of stuck with people that would generally be D2. It kind of put them in an odd spot. We're going to do our best to kind of get more drivers and just try to see if we can't get 3 divisions again, so that it's a little bit more fair to everyone. So we don't get this oddness. I think one thing that's happening with our attendance is just we're having issues with people wanting to staying motivated, because it just kind of gets smashed by like Stelios and Simon. Which is fair. I mean, I don't know. I raced last week and I did not have good pace, and I would not have been able to stay with leaders. So it's the top of D2 is always really difficult, just because sometimes it's really hard to predict who's going to be quick and then who's not going to be quick in D1. So it just kind of goes that way sometimes.
Yes, fair enough. And so Sherpas is about to finish his first qualifying lap on the top tire. He goes fastest with a 1:16.490, followed by his teammate, a 1:16.6. So I'm going to assume that, let's see if we can see it on the steering wheel. Yes, Stelios Repas does have enough fuel for another qualifying lap, which we will see. This is going to be one of those times where it really benefits him, in full qualifying. You want to have as many runs as you can, and in a position where Stelios Repas is, where he can be faster on the second run, arguably, then he could really benefit on not having to use as many tires. He isn't really doing a good job at charging his battery though right now, so questions will be asked there. But Stelios Repas looking to be the fastest of our championship contenders so far. Simon Carlson on the medium tires has improved up by a second in the first sector, I think. He'll come through the second sector checkpoint in a little bit. So this is his first effective qualifying lap. He's 2.6 seconds up, would put him in right now P9 around, but still a little bit to improve in the final sector. So we'll go on board with him through the final corner now. He wants to keep it tight to the right, so he minimizes the distance he covers, and to the line he goes third fastest on the medium tire.
Wow.
relatively, that is a beautiful lap, isn't it?
That is. I mean, I was thinking, like, when you pointed out that he was on mediums, I'm like, this is the last run he's going to have this session. And he's on medium tires, so that's a really nice showing for Simon. I'm really curious to see what kind of time he's going to put up when he puts on the softs in the next session.
Yeah, and Simon Colston, or not Simon Colston, Stelios Repas does not do his normal routine. He's back into the pits. But I think we can both agree that Simon is well safe in Q1. Be very hard not to.
There would be no reason for Stelios to do another lap, because probably just want to save these tires, and depending on the kind of tire, excuse me, the what is it called? The tire allocation that he chose. If he chose balanced, it'd be worth it to save those tires and do his first stint in Q2 on that set of tires. So he can make a choice to either go out in the middle of the session on fresh tires, or wait till the very end. And that's something we saw a lot yesterday. I was surprised by the amount of people that went balanced. So we see people on mediums right now. That means that those people at least went balanced. I think the only person that's clearly on the harder allocation is Luca, because otherwise you won't have a set of mediums or a set of hards, for qualifying, unless if you don't go that. So he only has, I think, 2 set of softs for the whole session. And the difference between balanced and softer is it's just 4 tires. You go softer, you have 4 soft tires plus the Q3 tire if you get there. So potentially 5 soft tires. And then I think the 2 most worn ones you use in the session will be given back. And then balance, it's the same thing. It's just you just trade out one of those softs for a medium. And you usually see what we'll see here is like people like Leo Hudson or Eric McNerney, who went out and just did a lap or 2 on the mediums. I mean, they're kind of an exception, because Leo and Eric have done 6 laps on the mediums. But Cody is a good example of it yesterday. He started both sessions of Q1 and Q2 on the same set of mediums, just to do kind of a banker, and then go back on the softs. But since full qualifying uses 100% race tire wear, the tire wear on the mediums is really low in a qualifying session. So you can definitely put quite a few laps on there and still have them, be usable or serviceable for a race if you need to use them.
I'm definitely looking at all of these drivers right now and just thinking they look to be a bit off the pace with just how the track is right now. I feel like we'll see lots of improvement here. Like just the small things, like how much you can be on the throttle. I think the cars just aren't quite ready to be at their full potential yet, which is of course always the case. But we go with Kiwi, who's going to finish his lap here. Keeps a wide line, and he goes no improvement. So if anyone is not safe right now, it is him, because he has no more runs. And then
Combine. Oh, I'm sorry. Combine went way off the track in the S's. Somehow doesn't invalidate, and
goes
to 17.4. He was literally dead last. So if he had gotten invalidated there, he would have not made it through the session. Whew, that was a little bit scary to see.
And Rigraff only 2/10 up. He may not improve his position compared to Kiwi, but the question is after that. And the question has been answered. Leo Hudson has made it. So will Rigraff go through to Q2? No, he will not. He is our man eliminated from Q1. And as the last race that I will ever partake as a McLaren team principal, not exactly the way I'd want to be having it, but still, plenty of race potential for Rigraff. That's why I picked him after all.
Yeah, Rigraff was definitely quicker last season. I'm honestly a little bit surprised how much he struggled the last couple of weeks.
And I feel like the lack of a very permanent teammate could also be a little bit contributing to that, because when you're, arguably a one-man show, then it kind of puts a lot of pressure on you. So that's gonna be my reason. That's gonna be my thought to it. But yeah, here we are. I mean, qualifying, I don't think is gonna, like, these 3 laps in our top 3. These are not going to be the same we see in Q3, because think about it. Simon Colston on those medium tires, being so close to Stelios Repos. I mean, on paper, I believe that mediums are 4/10 slower in qualifying than the softs. I don't know if it's that big of a delta, but if that is so, then Simon Carlson may as well be your fastest driver in this qualifying session. But as it is, Rigraph knocked out and everyone else through.
Yeah, one thing to kind of go over here is we have. Oh, nope, never
Big
mind.
Rick.
My telemetry top speed
Eller Stelios.
information is not updated. No one is going this fast with these times. But kind of looking at the sector times, one thing to kind of note
Stelios
is
re.
all of the top 3 are in the 28.9s, whereas people below them actually have quicker sector 1 times, like Rangers 28.8.
Kirjallisuuden Stelios.
So that probably indicates that the top 3 are all running quite high downforce for this session, while the people below them are running a little bit less.
I think
And now
I think voice chat is on for Luca, and he's trying to yap towards Stelios. So interesting little banter session before qualifying 2 begins, but no comment. I was caught off guard a lot because I can't remember the last time I've ever heard anyone use voice chat in the F1 game, but I know definitely foreign comments, so apologize for any foreign fruity language if it was there.
Yeah, interesting. I can't remember the last time either. That's definitely a surprise for me too.
And I think he's the first one out in qualifying. And both the Aston Martins, I mean, tail to nose right now. They are ready to go. Who else
Yeah, if you
do
need
we
to,
have?
Nathan, you can go in the race director and you can mute people. So if you want to mute Luca and Stelios, you can.
Yeah, Stelios was not responding, but I have now muted Luca. I don't know if that was anything too crucial, but hey, at the end of the day, a little bit of banter is acceptable. But we
Alright, so now we move forward. Now we have no more enters, so no more wasted time with the enters. We are back. We have a few people on, looks like mediums. So Max is on mediums. Mateo is out really quickly on the softs. We have, like you mentioned, Luca was really quick out there, but he's on mediums also. Now, the thing with Q2 is there's just enough time, especially at a track like this where the lap times aren't too high. I guess a better way to put it is, this is more on the shorter side of a lap time on the F1 schedule. You can squeeze 3 stints into this session, like using Cody as an example again, same thing. He did a medium and then 2 soft stints in Q2 yesterday, and was able to make it through quite comfortably.
Yeah, but that was indeed Cody Lawrence. I think I was told maybe 3 times that he loves Mexico City, so it could be a factor there, but we will see. We will see. Max on the same strategy as the man himself was, so we'll see how that works out. I mean, if Cody can do it, I wish I could say everyone could, but we move. I'm definitely a bit happy to see some names I didn't expect to. Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen these guys racing for so long. We got Luca, as you said, back from October, and then we have Leo Hudson, who I thought just disappeared off the face of the earth, but no, he is back. And then bit of a sleeper topic at the moment, but our good pal John Ranger. I mean, there was a point, I think, not too long ago where I believe that he could be in contention for the championship. I mean, he's a very solid driver all around, but with the performances he had in the last few races, it just slowly drifted away from him, and it became apparent that he would not be in contention anymore. It is impossible for him to now win the championship, but still, I think he could play a very big factor in this Mexico City Grand Prix.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago when we did our random Grand Prix and we rolled Hungary for Division 2, I recall Ranger was definitely still in the hunt. It's just the Alpine have been so strong since then. It's just, ooh,
Hmm?
I was a little tight between Combined and Luca there, but they no contact, so that's positive.
I don't believe that's
Yeah,
the first time. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, no, it was just I think Combined was trying to use Luca, kind of using Luca as a tow, going down the main straight, and I think Luca didn't realize that was happening and it almost caused an issue. But 16.4 for Tino, improvement by about 4/10 from his Q1 time.
No tire expert, but I believe those tires are new. It'd be a huge upset if, not an upset, but surprise if his tires were used there. But good pace from Tino. He is making very sure that he is not in the way of any drivers. Something I just did think about though, a little bit of importance behind where you qualify, of course, more than you normally do if otherwise I wouldn't be bringing it up. But P1, 3, all the odd positions, they start on the left side, which I think is the cleaner side, but I honestly don't know if that has too much of a factor in the F1 game. However, I think this is going to sound a bit odd, but I think we all know that pole position is one of the last places inside of the top 5 that you want to be. I think P3 and P2, P4, and maybe even P5 are in a huge benefit compared to P1. Similar to if you were running a 2015 Honda Power Unit and you were being attacked by the 2023 Honda Power Unit. So that will be the comparison I give you, but main point is that P3, P2, all of those guys just behind pole position, I think they have a better chance of leading us through turn 1 than the pole man does.
Yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying, but we kind of saw yesterday with the Division 1 race where Piche starting pole was able to just kind of run away at the start, and only one person was able to keep up with him. So, I mean, I would say in a division like this where that pace gap, there's lots of different pace here. You know, there's pace gaps between the top and the bottom, excuse me, that I think the further up you start, the better it's going to be. And you know, people in these games, you know, compared to real life, people are going to race much more confidently and much more scrappy than they would in real life. So people would be a little bit more, are always going to be a little more conservative in real life compared to how people are in a sim. So all it takes is just one bad little battle for you to lose the guy in front. And in a track like this, if you just don't have a big enough pace advantage, people can just run away because that DRS, just the lack of DRS, is just such a big just can make such a huge difference.
Mm-hmm. Confident and scrappy, that was probably the nicest way you could have put it. I could have said much more there, so good on you for that. But yeah, I mean, turn one is always probably one of the most likely incident makers of all Grand Prix, so good on that. But Mexico City, I mean, we see some stuff like Sergio Perez last year, where, you know, he wants to send it, then he ends up flying away in front of his Mexican fans. So there are plenty of risks here. The cars don't quite fly like they do in real life here, but yeah, let's hope we don't see any flying F1 cars today. Q2 is close to, or it's pretty much halfway done, and so far results look as expected. Mentioned John Ranger, that he could be a factor, and it looks like he could be. On the medium tires, he has set, he's done kind of a Simon Colston thing. Actually, I don't know if he was on the, it did show that he was on the medium tires, but I don't know if that was truly what he set his lap time on. Simon Colston finishes his lap, goes with a 16.5. So Stelios Troplas has them both by 5/10. And we know that Simon Colston is on new tires, but still, it doesn't look like he has much to say against Stelios Troplas right now.
Yeah, yeah, Simon was on new tires. Avira right now is the last person coming into the final sector on fresh tires also. Oh, no, excuse me. These are 1 lap worn tires. It's a pretty solid lap, actually, I think.
Yes, it is. Avira, I mean,
P4.
I think we've come to the conclusion that Avira is more present in the top 10 than he was in the start of the season, so he's showing it once again. I think he could well be into Q3.
Yeah, we just kind of have to cross our fingers and hope he doesn't get into an incident, because the last few weeks, good qualifying, but disaster race, so he just needs one good race, and that'll kind of show out for him.
Yeah, I still remember the Sid incident that we had not too long ago, and heart was broken to say the least.
Yeah, 'cause both Avira and Sid got bounced out of that, so that was unfortunate.
But Sid is not here today, so no chance of that happening again, at least not with the same drivers. But that being said, I do miss Sid already, so we will continue without him for now. Did not. Okay, here we are. Anyways, our bottom 5 right now are, okay, never mind. Our bottom 5 are Leo Hudson, combined YouTuber, Luca, Kiwi, and Hokage Rodi. Main shock for me, but of course I don't know as much as I thought I did about him. Luca is in the bottom 5. I think he will soon be setting another lap, but I guess maybe, I think it's a bit premature to say, but since October, I mean, that's a lot of time being away from the game, so could be showing right now. But you know, he can always surprise me if he likes.
See his first sector time coming up now, 29 flat. That is 0.3 slower than Stelios' quickest sector 1. And that is on the bottom half of what we're seeing on our boards right now.
Yeah, oh, something I did want to mention eventually, setups, they can play a very big role here. So me and my teammate were running relatively low downforce, and that of course is going to be good on the straights, but the key is you have to, it's going to sound, Will Buxton-esque, but you have to be in front if you want to lead the other cars. And I wasn't, so I was behind, and as a result, you lose in the corners, and you can only gain so much on the straight. So if some people opt for a lower downforce setup, then that could well be the same case as I faced last night. So I would say higher downforce is the safer option overall. But I don't know, maybe you could provide some insight if you'd like of what some drivers may be running today with the top speeds.
Well, let's take a look. We have the telemetry is finally giving us actual information about top speeds. Now, bear with us that anyone who actually took a tow down the main straight when we weren't seeing could kind of artificially inflate their own top speed. But looking at the setups right now, Avira and Leo Hudson are at the bottom with 325 and 324 kph respectively, and at the top we have Luca 334. So I think he probably just doesn't even have a setup, I would imagine, or he's just making his own. But with that kind of top speed and also being tenths off in the first sector, he's definitely not having his best session. We have now, in terms of the top 3, kind of the championship battle between Stelios, Tinel, and Simon. Stelios seems to be the quickest of all 3 of those, with 327 kph top speed. Simon actually is 327 also, is just below him. And Simon is below Tinel is below Simon, also 327. So they look like they're running the exact same wings, or at least a setup that produces the same top speed. So the race should be pretty even.
I don't think they'll run the same setup, so I do know that running a time trial setup here is much more beneficial than a race setup if we're qualifying. But we will see. All of them are now on their final qualifying laps. John Ranger just put a time to put him second fastest. It's a 1:16.098. So could play a factor here in qualifying, of course. He will be through, guaranteed. Someone who may not be through, and is looking even more likely not to be through, is Labib, who has retired, so he will not be able to defend himself whatsoever to the drivers that could dethrone him, being Leo Hudson, combined YouTuber Luca, Hokage, and Kiwi. As we go on board with Kiwi, his lap has not been good enough to get him out of the bottom 5, so Kiwi, our first elimination from Q3. Then we look to on board with combined YouTuber, who is 5/10 up. Where does that put him, though, you ask? Not good enough to get out of the top 10. So unless he can find some improvement in the third sector, he will be out of Q3, out of Q2, I should say. And he is Mateo P9 right now, and he is not improving, 9th. But Leo Hudson, he's gonna have to get on with it. I mean, I think he'll make it to the line comfortably, but definitely risking it a little bit. He makes it with 5 seconds to spare. So it's him, Luca, Hokage Rodi, and combined YouTuber. And combined YouTuber, oh wait, no, sorry, we've been over this. Combined YouTuber is out. Leo Hudson is there. Luca is there. Hokage is also there. They are the people who can knock out, I think it's only Mateo and Labib who can be knocked out right now. Unless my math is wrong, then it could be Max as well. But so far, Sailor's pit again, so he will not finish his final lap, so we will not know. Tino has also done the same. Simon Colliston, it did improve to a 1:16.3, and I have to say that he would need to be a little bit faster if he wants to throw his contention in there. Right now, it would look to be more with I almost said it, Tino and Stelios Repas. Those are 2 contenders so far based on qualifying.
Yeah, Hokage coming around the final corner now. Let's see where he finishes. 17.4. Only puts him up 1 position. And we have Luca coming around the final corner. 16.9. Puts him into P10, knocks Labib out.
And I feared that may happen, but it has. Combined YouTuber into the pits and Leo Hudson out of qualifying. So our bottom 5 here, Labib combined, Leo Hudson, Hokage Rodi, and Kiwi. And the cutoff was basically a 17-0, 19.28. That. So I think that this will be the first and only session that we will see the lap times dip under the 16 mark. But the top 3 do look quite close, but it's not the top 3 that we see in the championship. It is Stelios Repas, John Ranger, and Tino. Them being separated by less than 0.06 of a second. So,
And my big thing here is seeing Eric McNerney, P6. one of our longest, longest tenure drivers coming back and putting himself in P6. I would assume with very little practice, as he signed up maybe less than 2 hours before the race. So, very nice to see.
Indeed. So, I mean, yeah, one of our oldest members for sure. I remember it was so long ago, but I remember him debating me on interesting topics, and he has maintained that character, I'd assume, and he is back racing.
Alright, so with Q3, we definitely don't have enough time for 3 stints here. Only 12 minutes. We only have time for 2. Most people here. I know that Luca, I don't believe he has any fresh softs left. Actually, no, he'll have the Q3 tires. So everyone at least has 1 set of fresh softs. Depending on what everyone else did with their tires, most of these people will likely have 2 for this session. But we'll have to see. Mateo is out on fresh tires, so he at least has, I would assume, 2 fresh sets.
Yes, so here we are. I mean, Q3, 10 minutes, well, 11 minutes, maybe even 12 minutes, that we have to decide our top 10 for the race. We have no shenanigans such as a sprint race tonight, so these will be for our direct qualifying positions. And this is where it all gets a little bit spicy. Most of our drivers are their outlaps now. I believe Avira and Stelios Repas, and I know that they are the only ones in the pits right now. Actually, Stelios has just exited. Avira will be the last one to exit the pits. I think some interesting points to talk about. We have Mateo, of course, on his lap. I remember thinking that he would be a podium contender, and we'll see if that still remains. He almost was knocked out of qualifying 2, so we will see. I mean, I wonder if it's just a track that he doesn't like. We know the kid's quick. I mean, I can remember there being a video where he tried to qualify for F1 Esports all the way back in 2021, and he was looking quite pacey. He was quite a sensation. But Mateo leads our hot laps, and then it's followed by Eric McNerney. Let's get our telemetry up here. Doesn't look like he's on the battery at all, Eric McNerney, so questions to be asked there. Then Luca is our next one on a hot lap. Then it is T-Nell, who I think we'll go on board with for a lap here. So, as we know, top speeds rise to about 327 kilometers per hour, and yes, they do. Then you want to brake very, very late, but also nice and tidy. And then you want to cut the left-hand part of that chicane. Then you want to open up the exit, then keep the speed up through this second straight here. Decent overtaking opportunity in this corner, but right now it is only a qualifying corner. Then into a quick right hand. Lots of battles can be had here, but right now only focus on the qualifying double apex hairpin for a right-hander. Then we have the SS section. You want to cut the track just a little bit here, left and then right, and then left again. Then, of course, it had to be one more right and one more left. Plenty of corners there, cutting the curbs as you like and keeping to the left on the exit. Fastest lap 16.5 set by Mateo, but can T-Nell beat that on his first lap? In the stadium section, very tricky section, very easy to lose time here, also very easy to gain it through the right hand and keeping it tight to the right. What will T-Nell produce as its first lap of qualifying? It would be a 1:16.6 used tires, I'd assume, because fastest lap has been set by John Ranger, who I don't know what his tires look like, but I'd assume based off them being 2/10 slower than his last, they'd be used as well.
So looking at the tires, Simon, Mateo, and Max, and Schreier are the only ones on fresh tires for this start of this session.
Yeah, and it appears Simon has not done a good first lap, so he has recharged the battery, and I think he'll be going for another hot lap here. And off he goes, and Stelios Repas fastest with a 1:16.1. I don't recall already, but what tires is Stelios on?
He is on used tires.
Okay.
Simon's are partially used since he backed out of his first attempt. But everyone else, except for Max and Schrei, I believe they're on laps right now. Schrei already finished, Max already finished.
So far, mid to low 16s looking to be the times that we will see for our last runs here. Simon Colliston on his first run, and it doesn't look to be the greatest lap of all mankind, but he is doing well. We know that I think he has one more soft set, taking the curbs very nicely through the S's, and he'll go right and he'll go left one more time, and then he'll go up to the stadium section, where I don't think we have any Mexican drivers here tonight, but if we did, then they'd be on their feet every single lap.
Oh, this is pole. This is provisional pole right here. Or maybe just a little off. Let's see how he does his third sector. He might be 2/10 off Stelios. Maybe a 10.
1:16.183.
Close. Alright.
Tad
So we should have at least one more fresh run from these guys. From everyone. At least in the top 5. I think Luca would be the only one with one fresh tire set. So...
For not being here since October, I think he's done well to get into Q3 and, yeah, at least be in Q3. Eric McInerney, I believe, is on used tires because he did make it into Q3 with a lap way faster than that, about 2.5 seconds faster than that. So, right now, our first laps have been set by all but Luca, and we know why now. So, it's up to all of these drivers to decide what happens in their championship. We have people that are not in contention for the championship, such as John Ranger and Mateo, kind of putting themselves in a spot that could interfere with the main battle here tonight. However, no driver is obliged to get out of the way for a championship fight. So, whether they become a factor or not is only up to T-Nel. T-Nel has to go faster. He needs to be as close to his rivals as he can. Simon Colston and Stelios Repas have done enough. They look about level on their tires, on their laps, I should say. However, their tires are not. So, Stelios Repas looks to be the man who could put it on pole today, and his contender sat in P6 right now. Beautiful line taken by X-Max through turns, I think. I know I can't be counting recently. I think it's 4 and 5. Lovely way to keep the speed up through the S's as well. Does a great job. Even gives voluntary lawn mowing services to the circuit here. I do forget what this track is called. I think it's no, I'll just
Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez.
I knew that. Okay, yeah, that made sense. I knew Hermanos Rodriguez was in there, but there was one word after that, I think. But I don't know. I might be wrong.
No, yeah. Autodromo de Hermanos Rodriguez.
Well, there we go. And our first
track of the Rodriguez brothers. So there you go.
And here we go. The final lap of qualifying, or the first final lap, I should say, if that makes any sense. Stelios Repas has been out for his out lap here, brake dragging as he should. This lap matters more than any other lap in the session, in the whole qualifying session. This lap decides where he stays for qualifying, and if he doesn't improve, if he invalidates, then that puts the likes of T-Nel, Simon Colston, and even John Ranger to one-up him. So this lap is crucial, because we've seen that T-Nel, Simon, and John Ranger can be faster than what we have right now from Stelios Repas. So here we go. New tires, I'd assume, BMF?
For Stelios Repas, yes, he is on fresh tires, and as for everyone else on fresh tires as well.
Alright. So here it is. We are soon to have all 10 of our drivers ready to go for their hot laps. Stelios Repas doing the absolute most to get his tires and car ready for his hot lap, and here we go. He's going to take it through the stadium section for the penultimate time in this qualifying session, and here we go. Through the final corner, gets his exit, and he starts his final lap. One of the I think the longest run to turn 1 from the grid. He is going through it one more time in this qualifying session. He will see it soon once again, and he may see cars overtaking him into turn 1 if he puts this car on pole position. But That is not exactly the main point here. The main point is his pace. What does his pace look like in Sector 1? 600s up. He is on for an improvement which may take him to a pole position here tonight. The likes of Simon Colston and John Ranger and TNL have not yet started their laps. They are going to soon. 50 seconds left for qualifying, I believe. Through the S's. Here we go. Absolute pedal to the metal through all of them. And now through Sector 2, what's it going to be? It's going to be 1.5 tenths up. Then Stadium section for one more time. Power down nicely through the corners, taking a little bit wide on that left-hander. Could that be what separates him and what could be pole position from any one of our other drivers here tonight? Through the right-hander, one more time. It's a 15.908. Great lap from Stelios Repas. Now the question is, what is the answer from the rest of our drivers? Simon Colston only up less than 200, and he's invalidated his lap. Simon Colston will not improve to fight with Stelios Repas for pole position. But the likes of John Ranger, the likes of TNL, what do we see from them? TNL not improving in the first sector. Now we go to John Ranger. He's not improving in the first sector as well. So through the second sector, what can John Ranger do? Will it be good enough for something like pole position? It's going to be only 2.8 tenths up. I'd say that's a pretty good shot. If he can get it all right in Sector 3, then he could well have a pole position here tonight.
Yeah, right now, with he's purple on his sectors, I believe. Unless I'm misreading his first sector. So this should be pole.
And he has done it by a tenth and a bit. John Ranger currently on provisional pole, and now we only look to TNL, who needs a better position than where he is, and he's gone P3. So P3 for TNL, that's exactly where he wants to be. The order, as it is, Stelios Repas, TNL, Simon Colston in the championship fight, but the man himself, John Ranger, has decided to show up.
That is it. That Max is done. Mateo retires on track. That is the end of the session. Absolutely insane first two sectors from Ranger there. He matched his own purple sector time with Sector 1, and then he got a purple in Sector 2. So that absolutely insane lap from Ranger there.
Yes, beautiful, beautiful lap. So, this is our grid. I mean, right now we have pretty much exactly what we want as a championship fight. I think this is as spicy as it can get. We have a driver who could interfere with it all tonight in John Ranger. We have TNL starting in the best position, arguably, for our Grand Prix, and then Stelios Repas in P2, he could also be good, and Simon Colston could well be in the fight as well. So make no mistake, though the qualifying laps do be different, the positions could be just as different by turn 1.
Oh man, I can't wait. I would be really surprised if we see anyone start on mediums in the top 5.
I'm so ready for this. Here's the top 10: John Ranger, Stelios Repas, TNL, Simon Colston, Ichirai, Luca, Eric, Max, Mateo, and Avira. Sorry, I was doing some meditating before I absolutely cook in this Division 2 session.
It's a well-earned meditation session, I would say.
Yes, had to do so, and it looks very sunny, as we once said. As we look to the fans in the paddock one more time, this is what we've all been waiting for in Division 2. This is the start of the end of our Division 2 championship. A story yet to be finished, and the final chapter to be written now. Whose name will it be that concludes this story? We will see. It could be decided as early as turn 1. It can be decided as the final meters of this final lap. Here we are with the lights one more time. The lights are out right now, and we are ready to go down to turn 1. It looks like the Alpine of Simon Slurper, has done it just as he needs to, but Stelios Repas has gotten into turn 1, and he looks to be ahead, but now his teammate is going to be challenging him into turn 1. We may be 3 wide here, and the 2 Alpines are going to go for it into turn 1. And Tino tries to keep it around the outside. Now he'll have the inside, but it'll switch to that outside once again. Stelios Repas has done all he needs to go P1 so far. Simon Carlson goes up to P3. The top 3 wasting no time to get past the one man that could have interfered with it all. John Ranger drops down to P4. Now it's followed by Itzrai. Then it's Luca. Then it's Max. And now Simon Carlson is going to be fighting with John Ranger. John Ranger looking to get the switchback, but has not done so. Looks to be very similar, and a little bit of contact in the back as we see Combined YouTuber and Rigraff going at it wheel to wheel. Go on board with Combined YouTuber. He's lost out on the position to the McLaren right now, but we look forward through the S's one by one. They go through the fastest section on this track, but they will be very, very careful through it. Very easy to get track limits. Veer may be looking to challenge X-Max here, but has not done so. He's gained 2 positions from his start. Let's look at all the position changes that we have here. We have our top 3 all gaining 1 position, of course, on John Ranger, who's dropped 3. Then 5, 6 stayed where they are. Then Max and Veer are up a few positions. Then Stelios Repas leads our field for the first lap completion. Very sorry for, as we have a virtual safety car, as Leo Hudson has broken his front wing out of the final corner. So already to spice it up, he's going to be in the pits. As I was going to say, very sorry for reading out that name of our Teen Elegant man, but just kind of came out. But Tino, we know him. But this virtual safety car, as all virtual safety cars are, this could be crucial to the gaps that we see in our drivers. They could go from 3/10 to 6/10 very quickly. This is where you can gain time if you play the delta just right. And BMF, what did you think of that first lap here? We had lots of things to talk about there.
Man, I was excited to say that, man, that might be the most successful first lap we've had in D2 all season long. But then Leo had to ruin it right at the end. But for the most part, I mean, everyone's in the train, so that's nice to see. Should be ending here, I would imagine, soon.
And I think it'll be ending as this ends.
Yeah, looks like it's ending now, unless I just... No, not yet.
No, I think we'll be taken around for the rest of this lap here. But if it were to go in a section like right now, which it has...
Oh, green. Oh,
yeah.
Oh no, Tino.
So Tino has been caught out immensely. He's out of the 1 second gap that is so crucial for the DRS, which has now been enabled. Now he has the likes of Simon Carlson on his back. Simon Carlson on the battery as much as he can be. He's going to go for a move. Looks to be around the outside for turn 1. What will it be? Will it be Alfa Romeo or will it be Alpine that has the most contention for P1 tonight? It looks like it's going to be Alfa Romeo if Simon Carlson can't keep it. That Alpine of Tino, they make contact, and now the Alpine of Tino has been hit by John Ranger, who now loses multiple positions as a result of that. No damage for the Red Bull, but huge incidents here as we have a spinner in Hokage Rodi. No front wing, and we have another virtual safety car. So it got spicy for a second, and now we are back exactly where we started the lap.
Oh man, I'm not sure what Tino is doing here. Like, there's one thing with trying to race for the championship, but it's also ruining your own hopes for the championship by battling. Like, you had the bad restart, man. You've got to bite the bullet and let Simon get by, because if Stelios gets a nice jump on this VSC, he might be gone for the rest of the race.
I must say, I do feel bad for John Ranger. We are back green racing, but I do have to open one up for John Ranger. There we go, and we continue. So, the gap went down by 1 second through the virtual safety car. That is how you play it from Simon Carlson. 2.5 it was before the virtual safety car came into play. Now we are down to 1.3. Simon Carlson wants to win this race. It's down to 1.1 even. So we continue our lap for T-Nell with the DRS. Does he go on the battery? We will see. But as you said, it'd be dumb to fight him right now. They both have an opportunity to get Stelios Repas right now, and they don't want to waste it fighting each other.
A lot of battling going between Max, Luca, and Ranger. A lot of battling through that third sector kind of costs them the DRS to try, and there goes Luca around.
Did completely miss that, but we do have action. Combined YouTuber making a pass to a Grafan further ahead. We have Avira sending it down the inside of Labib, and now he'll have to challenge the other Mercedes of Mateo. The two Red Bulls, 6 and 8, where that puts them in their Division 2 Constructors Championship fight, I do not know quite yet. But we do know that it is still a very, very tight battle. The two Haas's, 4th and 5th, and now we look to Simon Carlson, and he is broken in to the 1 second gap. However, look at the battery advantage that Stelios Repas has. This is going to be so crucial for Simon Carlson to stay in the DRS for this one lap, and he's very on the edge.
I don't think
9.99 the gap.
He didn't get it. I don't think he got it.
We will only have to see if Codemasters was graceful to him. He is definitely under it now, but he has not. As he has. He has.
He got it. Oh my goodness.
Absolutely.
That's so important.
Because now he'll be able to save his battery. Now he'll be able to gain that back. And now he'll be able to attack Stelios Repas with full efficiency. He's got the other Alpine, who is definitely not on the same team as the car in the same colors tonight. But all of these drivers have something to fight for. And it is every man for himself. I'd be surprised if the two Alpine drivers are even in the same call. There could be beef. We never know.
There's no beef, man. They are in the same call right now. We can see it.
Alright, well,
maybe there is beef, but who knows? They've been communicating, so maybe they have an agreement for T-Nell to just give the championship if he is not in a position to just win it outright. But yeah, the big thing, like you mentioned before, the battery recharge here is really bad. Like in clean air, it's probably around 1% per lap. So the DRS, being in DRS will certainly help, but with Stelios and T-Nell having so much more battery, we're looking at 75, like close to 70 for both the Alpines and under 20% for Simon. And now T-Nell has a nice run on Simon.
Yes, he does, and doesn't even need to use the battery, but he's going to go down the inside for turn 1. This could be huge in the championship fight, and it looks like it will be. Simon Carlson will not oppose this fight unless he can go for a switchback. He will have a better line, of course, but compared to the Alpine, he can only see 2 in front of him. So, now is a question, where does T-Nell go from here? Same battery as his teammate, pretty much. Now he's got the DRS advantage. Do they fight? Do they know that they have something to fight for here? Or do they choose the bad option? Do they choose to let Stelios Repas take this? I absolutely do not think so. This is a championship here. We are here to fight. So let's see what the result is at the end of it all.
Yeah, the big issue with this is if T-Nell doesn't overtake Stelios, Simon's going to be there. Like, if he's close enough, he can overtake both of them.
Yeah, though he lost a position, whoa, as T-Nell nearly throws it into a barrier. Luca with a warning, penalty on the other hand. Code Brown for the blue car here, as John Andrew would say, and now Simon has a moment in sympathy out of the final corner. But as you said, he has lost a position, Simon Carlson, but I don't think Simon has lost the passion for this championship fight whatsoever. If he and and T-Nell overtake Stelios Repas, if the math is right, it goes 35, 28, 25. Stelios Repas will still win it. So, Itchrai could also be a huge player in this. He is now in the P4 DRS train. They're all separated by about 4/10, so that is quite close. That is better than most DRS trains that we see normally. DRS trains being the case in 2 ways here tonight. But right now, it is all, like you said, Will Tino overtake his teammate, or will he risk losing it all to Simon Colston? We do not know. As it stands, Tino will not even get P2 in the championship because Simon will have outscored him enough to be P2. So it is all or nothing more for Tino here.
And one thing to not even discount is that Schrei, like Schrei being in this train right now with the big gap between him and P5, I mean, Schrei can mix things up here. Like if Schrei gets to the front and Simon's able to battle in front of the Alpines, it might make the championship for him too.
Yeah, Simon Colston has been regenerating his battery a bit, but everyone around him in this train does have more than he does. Right now, advantage Tino with the battery. And it just looks like Tino is the faster driver out of the two right now. That could be helpful with DRS, of course. I mean, of course it is, but he took a better line through the first two turns, so could that be representative of what we could see from the two Alpines here tonight? The biggest amount of pressure here tonight is on Stelios. He has it all to lose, hardly anything more to gain, other than, of course, to seal the deal. But I can only feel like Simon Colston and Tino want it more.
Man, imagine how frustrating it would be for Ranger. A little battling with Luca and Max at the start of the race cost him about a second to the back of Schrei. Now he's just hovering around that 1.8, 2 second gap. He just cannot get back into that train.
Yeah, and it looks like
and
all
the more
of
conservative. Oh, excuse me. I said the more conservative these guys are. Like right now, Simon and Tino aren't making moves. Schrei is being patient also, but the more conservative everyone is, like the harder it is for Ranger to catch up. For him, really, all it would take is one good battle for Ranger to catch up, and we have, who is that, Leo off the track?
Leo off the track, and he has no damage, I don't think. So we will continue actually. Yeah, okay, there is a front wing, but Tino, as we go back to him, he's getting closer and closer to the back of his team. I saw 1.48 as a gap. Doesn't look like he'll be able to make a move into this corner. If he does, it'd be monumental, but it won't be. So we, as you say, go on with another conservative lap. From our
one thing to go ahead and note is in the top four, the only person with a warning was Simon. So that could be a big, difference maker at the end of the race. We saw last week Simon won the race on track. That's Leo retiring in the pits. But Simon won the race on track. But Mac actually got the win because of time penalties. So we'll see. And this track is just as tricky, if not harder, as Coda to kind of not get those track limit warnings.
As Leo Hudson has retired in the pits, but track limit's a huge factor here. Let's look at the gaps here. I mean, it's going to change every second, of course, but it is just very key, these gaps between our top drivers. Leo Hudson will be put into the path of our leaders here, so whether that plays an interesting factor, we will have to see. Hopefully the Williams will be taken off the track soon, but he is directly on the racing line, as that has definitely caused a little bit of something.
Oh, man.
Definitely a nightmare situation. He's even on the braking line as we go on board with Mateo, and that has definitely affected Mateo in a negative way. I don't think he'll be overtaken by Max, but he was definitely in a vulnerable position because of that.
Why is that car still on the track? It's still there.
It's still causing problems. Labib getting overtaken by Rigraff again, I think. But that car was there way longer than it needed to be, and it's nearly caused it try to drop out of the DRS train entirely. Look how close, though, Simon Colston is to the back of Tino. It's just a not good line from Tino through that lap, and that's going to be crucial. With the DRS, of course, he's going to gain a little bit to his teammate, but through the stadium section, it just looks like Stelios Rapaz is doing enough to not be at risk of being overtaken right now. So what needs to happen if we want to see any moves? Tino basically just has to stomp on the battery, and here we are on the battery with Tino. He's wasted, not wasted, but used over 20%. He's getting closer and closer to his teammate. He will have this move by the braking zone. The two Alpines going at it into turn one. Tino takes the lead of the Mexican Grand Prix, and he has kept that lead. No contest from his teammate, but now it leaves Stelios Rapaz vulnerable to Simon Colston, who we know or who we think wants it more than Stelios does right now. He has more to lose, does Simon Colston, now that he sees his direct rival go into the lead of the race. As it stands, the order in the championship would be Stelios, Tinel, Simon. But as soon as Simon Colston may overtake Stelios Repas, that is going to be hugely, that's going to hugely increase his chances of winning this championship. However, that's not actually true, is it? Because if, and even if, Simon Colston overtakes Stelios Repas, and Stelios drops out of contention with Simon, then that'll mean that Tino wins it, because he'll have outscored Simon by 7 points if the order, if it ends up being a Tino victory here. If you think about it, this would be only Tino's second win, and we have another car who is about to be released on track.
Oh boy.
However, it's going to affect less drivers here. It looks like it'll only affect about 5. And he's thrown right into a battle. Rigraff making a pass combined YouTuber as the Aston Martin gets in the way a little bit. Go on board with, say, Kiwi here. Looks to be less problematic than we thought. The other Aston Martin into the pits. So no worries for them.
I'm really surprised that the Alpines decided, or that the Alpines decided to start swapping positions there, because all it did was start equalizing the battery with Simon. I mean, they should have known that Simon, at least been suspicious that Simon had less battery because he had to catch, but now Simon right up on the butt of Tino.
Yeah, and it looks like he could even go for an overtake here if he wants to, and it looks like he will. Onto the battery, onto the DRS. Does he go down the inside for this little corner here? No, he doesn't. I said it was an overtaking opportunity, but I did say it was a 50-50 one.
Yeah, big thing here is that Tino might not get DRS. I don't.
1.1.
It's gonna be really close. He shouldn't have it. So that means Simon might leapfrog him here. That might have been a really good play by Simon.
And of course, something to note, you get the DRS for the second straight as well, just from that one detection point. So no DRS for Tino, DRS all for Simon Colston. Simon Colston will look to overtake Tino in the first corner. He's going to go down the inside. Will Tino fight it? Of course he will. Around the outside goes the Alpine, and it looks like the Alpine has just gotten the track position he needs. But will Simon Colston fight it anyway? Yes, he will. Onto the battery, onto the DRS. Once again, as I've said many times, it's going to be around the outside for Simon Colston. No battery on the Alpine here. Around the outside, he'll have the inside line for the next corner. Simon Colston makes it in to P2.
Yeah, he's just gonna have to punch it here because Stelios is getting away from him.
And only just, though, onto the battery immediately to try and get into that DRS. I'd say that's a smart decision. And look where he's gotten.
I think he has it.
He's gonna have it for
he has
here.
it.
Yeah. And so 8/10 already. The battery gap between our two leaders is about 25% in favor of Stelios Repas. Tino used it all to defend, and he is not able to do anything. So we look to Simon Colston, who's taken a bad line through the stadium section. He's dropped down to 9/10 now. Of course, there will be no overtaking opportunity here. Onto the battery anyway. Interesting. So we could see a little bit of spiciness onto this lap if Simon really wants to get crazy with it. But so far, it looks like Stelios will lead this lap, and we will be coming into the pit soon. So will strategy play a key? Undercut. It's not the greatest here, still about 3 seconds if you box one lap before. And that would put Tino in the lead if he decides to overcut the, or undercut the top two. But where does, or what is just gonna happen, you know? You never know.
Yeah, the issue here is you want to have the best tires at the end, but at the same time, being in front, it's going to be tricky. I mean, I don't think we'll see any pit. We might see one of these Alpines going really early. We may see Simon go really early. We should see Ranger go really early. So I know Ranger's going to want to try to just undercut and just put himself back into the train. Probably the same thing from Shry. We'll probably see them go in maybe lap 17 or 18. But I would be surprised if any of the Alpines went in before 20.
I'd say maybe 19 is reasonable, but here we go. We look on board to Simon Colston. We've been on board with him. The gap now 5/10. That is 4/10 better than it was last lap. He's got 36% battery. Does he know what the other driver has? No. But he is onto the DRS. 7/10. The gap will close to around 4 by the end of this straight. Simon Carlson is looking ever closer to putting one hand on the championship trophy, but something has to go awry with Stelios Rebus here.
Yeah, the big thing here is like this is kind of exactly where Simon wants to be, close enough to Stelios, but far enough in front of Tino where Tino can't send it on him, just to try to harvest some battery because he's still at that big deficit to Stelios, but he's in a better position than he was earlier. Because if he gets in front, the only thing that's going to do is put him in under threat of being overtaken by both of them later on. So he's going to do his best to try to sit in this position.
Yeah, and whether the move is going to be made before the strategy comes into play is the big question. Based on your estimates, we have about 4 more laps until we start to see anyone in the top 3 pitting. But if that somehow changes, then we could be in for some spicy business here.
Yeah, big thing here is Stelios right now has the best tire wear. I don't have like full average tire wear, but just from the most worn tire, Stelios is about 3% better tire, just under 3% better tires than Simon, and then Tino is about 1% better than Simon. The big thing though is like we're just gonna get to, like, Simon may just get to 40 on lap, I think towards the middle of lap 17, so there's still a lot of life in the tires, so there's no reason to kind of rush your pit stop. One issue that we may be running into is a pit stop here is about 22 seconds. So if you pit a little bit too early and start running into the back of that traffic, then that's definitely going to be a big issue.
John Ranger sends it down the inside of it, tried to make it P4. He is back into P4 now. So the big thing that we were looking forward to earlier was that we would have another car in our top 3 exchange. Now only the top 3. But now John Ranger, does he have more pace than Nitri? Could he play a part in this race as we thought he would from the start? We do not know. Simon Carlson looking ever closer now. It's just the stadium section. Stelios Rebus, as I said earlier, is doing enough to stay far in front, but look how close the gap is now. Just barely 4/10. Simon Carlson is normally faster through the final corner. So does he go for a move here? Same on battery. Stelios Rebus goes onto the battery to cover it off. But the blue light has come on for Simon Carlson. Will he pit now? We do not know. But we go on with Simon Carlson as he takes the lead of the race from Stelios Rebus, who'll have it comfortably. No fight back from the Alpine. He's taking a good enough line just to stay in front. And now that the battery advantage goes to Simon, will he have the position by the end of the straight? It looks like he will. For a second there, I thought Stelios Rebus could get closer. But now the Alpines have kind of put themselves in a bad position here. Now they find themselves behind their only rival as a team. But now, who could win it? As it stands, Stelios does win it. Even if they were to swap positions, the 2 Alpines, Stelios would still win it. So right now, if this stays and it goes Simon, Tino, someone else, and then Stelios, then Simon Carlson wins it. However, if it goes with Stelios Rebus finishing P3 or above, then Simon will lose. And so that's how the situation is for Simon and Stelios. But you ask now, what does it look like for Tino? Well, Tino has to win and Simon has to come anywhere below him. Well, basically, Tino has to win, Stelios has to finish below 4th, but now Stelios Rebus goes back for the lead of the race. Alpine not sacrificing any positions here tonight. They let it go for 1 lap, and they gave false hope to Simon Carlson, but now they find themselves in an advantageous position once again. And now, Tino has gone for a move into turn 4. I couldn't even see it in the POV of Simon Carlson, but now Tino did not do enough to make that position, but he has crucially lengthened the gap between Stelios and Simon just a little bit. It is 8 tenths now. Simon is faster through this S section here. Now he will have DRS for the next one. I mean, geez, that was a huge gap that Simon Karlsson just took out of the Alpine of Stelios Repas. So now the move that TNL tried to make is going to be in vain. And now all our three are level on battery. That was absolutely crucial that he made up that gap there, Simon. Because now he looks to be looking for the lead of the race again. Stelios Repas a little bit twitchy out of the final corner. Doesn't look like Simon will go on the battery, but question is, does he even need it? He could still have this overtake done by turn 1 here. It looks to be close. Does he go for a send on the Alpine? No, he stays behind. But the question is then, does he go for a move into the next section? He does take a tiny bit better of a line than the Alpine, but he's not on the battery. He will have the DRS, but it doesn't look like he'll be making a move, as he just goes back a little bit, and now TNL is ever closer. A little bit of a leg spike or something of that nature for Simon Karlsson, at least from my point of view. But he looked to be at risk for a little bit, but as it stands, he's just back now with Simon Karlsson. With Stelios Repas.
Yeah, we're finally starting to see people pit. So we have Mateo and Avira have pit that lap, and then we have Kiwi also, but Kiwi's a little bit further back. We're getting close to that point. I think it's going to be really interesting to see how much discipline Simon has with his battery here, because he's keep putting himself in he keeps getting caught in these positions because he keeps fighting people, so he's not able to build up the battery advantage that he's been having. He still has a battery advantage, but he's done a good job of sitting in between them.
And now
one thing
into
to
the
note
pits
is
goes Stelios Repas. Sorry to interrupt, but that is
no,
crucial.
that's good.
And now,
So yeah, big thing now is they're both gonna have DRS again, but just a small warning here, or warning update, excuse me. The top 3 are all on one warning.
interesting. So battery went down for both of our top 2 here. They both thought that they could have fought it off, but now it looks like Tina will go on the battery again here. He's going to use it for all or nothing here. Simon Karlsson does not. Oh, he does. He goes defensive, nearly into the back of the Alfa Romeo. Went, and now they fight wheel to wheel. This is only going to gain time for Stelios Repas. Simon Karlsson with the inside line into our double right hairpin. Does Tino get the switch back? No, he doesn't. So Simon Karlsson stays ahead. But things like that could be so crucial to what we see. And we have a yellow flag. Who is that? That is Luca. Around in turn 1, and I thought for a little bit that was where our where Stelios Repas was, and I got stressed out, honestly. So Stelios will be catching Eric.
I can't help but feel like that was a really poor decision by TNL to try to go for that move there, because with Stelios now on fresh tires, he may just be gone. Like, let's see, because TNL is definitely gonna pit here, I would imagine. They both pit here, okay. But the issue is, just looking at this gap, Stelios is going to be out in front by over a second.
Yeah, however, something I noticed in practice, once you get, of course you're going to be behind in the first lap, as we see Stelios Repas about to fly past his 2 contenders here. You can see them in the rearview mirrors. He's going to be around 2 seconds ahead, if not more. But he does have just 1 lap older tires. However, in practice, I came to the conclusion that could be enough for Simon Karlsson and Tino to be gaining on Stelios and potentially even winning out at the very end. So something.
Just the issue is, every time we see them by themselves, they always crash it. They always start sending it on each other. I mean, they're going to have discipline if they want to catch Stelios and have any kind of chance at winning this for either of them.
Yeah, and a question I have thought about a little bit. Does Tino even think about having this championship now, or is he going to play the team game? Right now, it looks very unfavorable for Tino, because he would have to win and beat Simon if he wants his own championship. But it is a lot more favorable and overall a lot more mutually beneficial for Alpine if Stelios ends up winning. We have our top 2 into the pits, both from the hard tires onto the mediums. I don't know if they'll play too much of a part here. Stelios Repas with the fastest lap. But let's go on with Simon Carlson, who has Tino behind him, but I think gets played as favorably as it can. Tino does have the discipline we were talking about, but now Simon Carlson, 3% battery. That is something to note for sure.
Yeah, he understands the kind of conundrum he's in. If they don't catch Stelios relatively soon, then Tino's not going to let him, catch up to him. Every time he tries to get close, Tino's going to start battling him. So let's see.
I mean, Simon has been faster through a few sections of this track than Stelios Trepas, but however, every single time that has been true, Tino has been able to follow Simon Carlson through. So through this section, normally Simon Carlson is faster. We look to it now. He's gained 2/10 once again just through that section, and he could even gain more.
Yeah, I mean, Simon is putting in a good lap together here, but under 10, he's around 10% battery. Tino right behind him. I think he's just kind of doomed on this back straight here, or on this front straight. His only hope really is for Tino to kind of fill that gap in between him and Stelios, and then try to beat them later. Simon all the way down to 0% with his battery.
And here comes Tino now with the DRS nearly going into the back of the Alfa Romeo. Does not make the move into turn 1. Does put the Alfa Romeo on a bit of an offline. So does he go for it into the next turn? This would be a good situation for Alpine if he does. Does he send it or does he not? This could be so crucial. And he stays behind, so the gap can only come down, as I see it, to Stelios, and a bit of a moment for Simon Carlson, and that just drops the gap ever so slightly, but I think he can gain it back,
Yeah, I mean, they're slowly creeping back up towards Stelios. It's just, by the time they get there, Simon's going to be in such a rough spot with 0 battery, with 13 laps to go. And the battery recharge is so bad.
Yeah, so 43 to Tino, and then 10 only to Simon Carlson. With the gap that I can see right now, 4/10 it being, Tino will be able to make the overtake on Simon Carlson right here. And that will be where it plays crucial to Alpine themselves. Simon absolutely flooring the battery, 0% all the way down the straight, but does that allow Tino to get past? Even so, with the use of the battery for Simon Carlson, he has lost the position to the other Alpine. So now, the question is, what happens next between these two Alpines? Does Simon Carlson keep on fighting? We don't know. Looks like John Ranger in the back, however, is close to making a move on the Haas of Itrai. Itrai with the DRS, but John Ranger with the close gap, and he doesn't go for it. It's been a little bit hard to follow the midfield when we have so much going on at the front as well, so here we are with a little bit of a train. Labib down to Rigraff, and now some action between Eric and Kiwi. Eric going very deep, so does it allow Kiwi to make a switchback? No, it doesn't. Would have been a little bit crazy if he did. But we go back to the front. Something I have to point out is that no matter what the driver is behind him, Stelios Trepas is losing a decent chunk of time every single lap. And now that I think about it, this could actually benefit Simon more than what seems apparent if he stays behind Tino, which it doesn't look like he will do. Looks like he'll be making a move on the Alpine using no battery of his own. So will he be in P2? Yes, he will. So now he'll be the one chasing after Stelios Trepas. But I think the most beneficial way to be for Simon Carlson right now, you want to be actually behind Tino. You want to be saving your battery and letting Tino catch up to his teammate, and then when you have the battery, you fight them both.
No, you can't do that, because if you do that, you're just leaving it up to Tino to decide if he's going to let you catch up with him. Because like we said, he has no idea if Tino's playing the team game or not. The only shot they both have is to keep swapping in DRS and just inch closer to Stelios.
I can't help but notice once again how much Stelios Trepas loses through those fast S's. So swapping definitely an option. But I don't know, I have to think about it. With what we've seen so far, TNL is trying to catch his teammate. Why, we don't know, but that is a very good point that you made there. But will TNL go for it again? Onto the batter he goes, and who will have the DRS? It looks like a certain move for the Alpine driver, so they will continue to swap positions in the top two here. John Ranger with the fastest lap. He's not going to be doing much to gain on these top two who have just swapped positions, top three I should say. But yeah, in my opinion, advantage now with Simon Colston, because just look at how TNL is closing to his teammate, of course thanks to the DRS, but I think TNL genuinely has the pace against his teammate and he plans to use it.
Yeah, just one more of those swaps and they'll be inside Stelios' DRS. Stelios actually using a lot. I think he's getting worried about TNL also, because Stelios is only 6% more battery than Simon right now.
Does that prove evident? I mean, still he loses time through the S's, even though we thought it could have been something Simon Colston was doing, but no, it's something Stelios is not. Maybe his tires aren't giving him what he needs from them in those corners. Ooh, he got nearly close to DRS, did TNL. But yeah, one more of these swaps, which will be right here, I'd assume, and we'll be back in Stelios' DRS. Entire advantage will only go to TNL and Simon. Simon's just a little far back. No, he'll go for it. He'll have it, I think. But the decision from TNL is not to fight. Or is it? He's getting very close, but I don't think he'll fight it here. This would be the worst time to fight.
TNL made the right choice. This is where they'll gain about a couple, maybe 2/10 or so on this straight, just with Simon with the DRS.
Then we know the other 3/10s can be accounted for in the S section, so we could well see it become a three-way fight once again. And then where does it go from there? We'll have 8 laps, 9 laps actually, something of that nature, remaining once we cross the line for the next one. Does Simon Colston have enough to get this DRS? Not this one, but through the stadium section, will it be enough? He didn't gain quite as much as I thought he would. So this could be Stelios Repas saving grace for one more lap here. Ooh, big slide from Simon Colston. That's going to open it up once again for TNL and just close that, open the gap up wide open to Stelios just a little bit. Only cost him like a 10th and a bit, so a little bit less benefit than I thought it would for Stelios. But now, once again, we'll see TNL swap positions with Simon Colston. No opposition from the Alfa Romeo. So now we'll have these corners, the next straight for these two to gain time, but the question is, will they be in DRS by the next lap? Only time will tell.
Kind of a bit of the same story, maybe about half a tenth quicker or closer to Stelios than our last lap. Big thing here is Stelios is doing a good job of putting in some really good laps. He was only 2/10 slower than Simon on that last lap, but Simon having that big moment certainly hurt.
1.1 the gap as it go through the start of the S's, 1.03, and now 9.64. They are in DRS here in Mexico City. This is now a 3-horse fight. I don't think that is the right term at all, but you know what I'm trying to say. The two Alpines and now Simon Colston are going to be going at it.
Yeah, it's just so we're just running out of laps now. The big issue, or for Simon, just the kind of unlucky thing. You mentioned TNL would have to finish, or excuse me, for Simon to win, Stelios would have to finish what, P5 or whatever to
fourth or lower with the Simon win.
Fourth or lower, with Ranger way back there. Yeah, Ranger doesn't have enough laps to catch up with them, unless some big battling happens, which is possible with this situation.
And there is a worst case scenario for Stelios Repas, which I don't know if I'll need to talk about it for much to know what that is, but all I must say is that this three-way battle could soon become two, and it could be without Stelios, and that would be a disaster class for him. So we will have to see. As we have a yellow flag in the final sector, it's Luca without damage. Actually, maybe with damage, because he's coming to the pits. He's gonna retire from the session, I believe. There he goes. Could have thought that would have been a safety car, but here we go. Tinel has made a good job of staying close with the teammate, and it looks like he'll be in a prime position to make an overtake. Question is, what does Simon do with this? He's had a moment out of the final corner, so nothing he'll be doing in this first straight. But now, Tinel with DRS, does he go for the move on his teammate right away? It looks like he will. He'll have way before the braking zone. The two Alpines have gapped Simon Colston in this straight a lot, so that could be crucial a little bit. But we know Simon
had that.
Right?
Yeah, he had that bad exit, but he'll still be there. I think the only way for Simon to win this championship is if he can pass both of them, park the bus, and get Ranger in the fight. That's really. I feel like that's what he has to be thinking right now. Somehow, if he's aware of what he needs to do to win the championship, he's got to get in front, got to park the bus at least for a lap or two, and let Ranger get in the fight, because Ranger has the best tires out of all of them, having pit lap or 2 laps later than Stelios.
Yes, and as it stands right now, if Stelios were to DNF, then it would be Tinel the winner of the championship, even if Simon Colston goes second. And with 6 remaining laps, I mean, the thought process of Simon Colston has to be so like nervous, right? Because you can only think of so many things when you can see your two rivals in front of you. You want to think of all the strategies that you can to beat them, but really in the end, it's what you make it's the decisions that you make in the here and now that will decide everything. So we'll see what Simon decides to do. He's in no contention whatsoever to be passing either of the Alpines, so he will have to wait for just a little bit longer.
Man, I think one thing that Stelios might be able to do is, like, if he can just break that DRS to Tinel and then just fight Simon, it doesn't even matter where they finish after that, he'll just win, right? If he just lets Tinel run off into the distance and then just stays on the top 3, he should just win.
Yeah, and then for Alpine, the result tonight will be nothing but pure domination. It will be 1-2, 1-2, and 1. The highest amount of points that they can do, because they'll have a 1-2 here, then they'll have a 1-2 in the championship, then they'll have P1 in the constructors, already decided, of course. But I think I can see something Simon's gonna do here. I think he's gonna try and make a move this lap on, or next lap on Stelios here. I don't really see any other option for him.
Yeah, he's got to make a move now and then just try to somehow keep 2 cars behind him to get Ranger in the fight. That's the only way he can win this championship.
That blinking red light is all the motivation I would need, but it doesn't look like Simon Colston will be taking that as an invitation whatsoever. It looks like the other Alpine is actually going to get close to his teammate, and I thought for 1 second we could have seen a battle, but Stelios taking a bad line through there. That is going to be so crucial to what we see happen next year. Does Simon know that he needs to make this position now? I think he does, but he's not going to act on it. Simon is running out of time, and I don't think he's given up yet, but he knows lap by lap, corner by corner, he could lose this championship more and more as it stands. I think now is the time. Now is the time. Simon Colston is going to go for the move on Stelios Repos. We know that he's had the advantage through the S's, and he's going to try around the outside in the corner. We haven't seen a single overtake yet here, and now he has gone up into P2, but he's out of DRS.
I'm pretty sure he just lost DRS. Yeah, he went so deep on both those corners, both those hairpins, that he just kind of lost DRS. So now, advantage Tinel.
Yeah, throwing the battery down absolutely does Simon, and I think while he's also defended himself from Stelios, he's made it very, very difficult for him to be challenging Tinel now. So it'll be up to who's faster in the rest of the lap here. Simon Collison is getting closer and closer to DRS, but still 5% battery. It's all about what he does through the corners now. We know he's just a little bit faster than Tino on paper, but can he do that now in the situation of ultimate stress? We will have to see. And he'll just miss out on DRS, I think. Yes, he does. At the rate he's going now, though, I think he'll have it next. 4.4, the gap between Stelios and John Ranger. So while it is a little bit of a gap, I don't think it'll be enough. And another slide for Simon Collison. That could have been the slide that cost him the entire thing. Could we get a quick warning check here now that we've seen another time penalty go out?
Yeah, we're still just on 1 on all 3 drivers. So, unless some big disaster happens, it doesn't look like anyone's going to finish with a penalty as Stelios goes down the inside.
We could see the Red Bull in the back, but it just seems to be too far in the distance right now to be doing anything. And I wonder, does Stelios even try and fight his teammate? That'd be, in my opinion, the dumbest decision he could make right now. But if he does, my oh my, what a finish we could have.
No, I would be surprised if Stelios just doesn't just park the bus a little bit.
He is dropping significantly.
Yeah, he's purposely trying to stay at a DRS at this point.
And we know Simon is faster through this section. We know Stelios could hold him up here. And it looks like he's done just that. 1.8 now the gap between Simon and Tino. This looks to go, as it stands, perfect for Alpine. It only takes one little extra input of throttle to send the car fully around. So there is plenty of things still to happen in the remaining 2 laps that we have of this Mexico City Grand Prix. The question is still left unanswered. The question will still be asked. Can anything be done to win it for Simon Collison here? He'll make his first attempt at it. He'll go into P2 with Stelios Repas behind him. But the question is, has Simon Collison done enough? And I think the answer is slowly starting to veer towards no.
Yeah, it's just kind of unlucky for Simon, just in general, that no one else was able to keep up. Shry was there for a while, but then right before they started to pit, Shry just had some big moments, wasn't able to stay in that lead train. And then on top of that, Ranger just was not able to stick with them either. So too many things were out of Simon's hands for him to have any shot at the championship. And nothing went his way so far. I mean, he's done a good job racing for the victory, but or at least being competitive for the victory as he picks up his 2nd warning. And I think he actually he does have DRS this lap. He's just so far back. And Tino has so much, well, just not even really that much battery, but really terrible exit.
Yeah, horrible. So while we watch, Simon Collison can do nothing into turn 1. Something unbelievable will have to happen if Simon wants to win it, but at the moment, this is exactly what Alpine needed. We have a yellow flag. That is a Vera who is off in the final corner. Just a minor spin. Nothing will happen there. The B makes it past combined. The only reason I focus on them now is because I think we know what is going to happen next in our top flight. We look through the final, I think it's 8 corners here. Simon Collison has not done enough. It's 1.4 now. Tino is going to be on his way for the race win. Stelios Repas might even try and challenge the Alfa Romeo. He does. But I think we all know the fireworks come on in Mexico City. And we look towards the first Alpine now through the final corner. He's had no mistake through it. Tino will win in Mexico City, and then it will be Simon Carlson, then Stelios Repas, and to finalize it all, Alpine 1-2, 1-2, 1. And what a crazy move that was that we just got from Max to make it past Mateo, and he doesn't get that position in the end anyway, but it was definitely a good move to be made. I think Max ended up actually losing the position because of it. But
yeah, he had 6 seconds of penalties to Mateo's 3,
Combined
and then
just
Try had no penalty.
Combined just ran out of fuel over the line, which actually lost multiple positions.
Wow.
Well, I mean, I certainly wasn't biased to any one driver, but I did kind of like the story that we could have had a 1v2 win. But Regraph driver of the day. Alpine have done it absolutely perfectly this season. It cannot be said any other way. Alpine 3-1-2s, and I believe their last 5 races, if not more. That stat could be wrong. But 1-2 in the championship remains as it is for Alpine, and of course they won it all in the Constructors' Championship. I think there is nothing more to do than to commend the 2 Alpine drivers, and of course Simon Colston for his valiant efforts. Something else to be looked at in the near future is what happens with our teams in the P2 through P4 range. We all know they were very close, but now it is time to go through our interviews. So, what a conclusion that was, BMF.
It was a great race. It's just too bad just that 4th car couldn't be in the battle there to kind of give us just a potential for a mix up with the championship order. But great effort by Simon there, trying to do that all on his lonesome. I mean it's possible. I think one thing though is that this finish does secure Alpine as P2 in the combined constructors behind Mercedes, and I have to calculate the Red Bull points. But it might be pretty close between Alfa Romeo and Red Bull for P3. I'll have to get that after the race.
Yeah, and all the drivers not deciding to go into the waiting room. There we go, finally Stelios Repas, who normally I would bring in right now, but I think the 2 Alpines deserve to be together. So we'll wait just a little bit longer to see if Tino gets in, and here he is. So we'll bring first the 2 Alpines. We have Tino, who won the race, and then we have his teammate Stelios Repas, the 2 Alpines who have dominated it all this season, finishing off the season with a 1-2 in the championship, and P1 in the constructor standings. Congratulations to you both. How are you doing?
I'm happy for the win. Happy I did it on under a certain name. It sucks though that some of the earlier races I did kind of blew my chances away from this championship, but it's okay. I was last pick of the draft, and I got P2 in the championship.
Were you really last in the draft? Yeah, whatever.
He was, yeah.
Story for another time. Stelios Repas, it's your take now.
Say again?
All you. How'd you do? How are you feeling?
Good. I mean, yeah, pretty happy with the race. I just made sure that I'm not gonna do anything stupid, just like in Texas last week. So yeah, I just just follow the flow of the race. I think the only reason that I lost it is because of the tire. I pitted 1 lap earlier than Simon and my teammates, so fresher tires, couldn't keep up. But pretty happy overall. Good points for the team as well. Hopefully we pass Red Bull, maybe Alfa Romeo. I'm not sure, but we'll see.
PMF
Yeah,
confirmed.
that definitely puts you guys locked in at P2 and combined. So you guys.
That's great.
Alright, well, the two Alpines, Stelios Repas and Tinel, or the other name if you prefer. You guys did an amazing job this season. As a team, as individual drivers, I think you two are on for great success in the future. So, one more time, great job to both of you, and congratulations on your perfect results.
Thank you, guys.
You guys have a good night.
I wish I said you two before I removed him in the call. You too, Tino. Okay, there we go. Solved. Okay, and finally, the man who I think put in some of the best effort I've seen this season. However, it just wasn't enough to compete with the result of the two Alpines. It was 1v2, and the one that lost was Simon Colston. So, Simon, after definitely lots of drama in the championship, how are you feeling after that final result?
Good to be honest. I honestly did everything I could. Them two are great races, fast races, and honestly it's been fun. Especially that race was very fun. So yeah, I'm happy with P3 in the championship of course, but unfortunate we couldn't secure P2 in the constructors. I think Alpine just beat us there, but all in all, good season.
Yeah, I mean, great job. I think both me and BMF once thought that it could be you on the top step of the podium, but there was a lot of math that we were doing, and it just, at the end of the day, the math wasn't enough for you to win. But I still think that maybe in the deepest part of my heart, I was rooting for you in the end. So, great job for what you've did this season.
Yeah, thanks guys.
Yeah. All right. Well, congratulations on the podium, and congratulations P3 in the championship. Huge result. I hope to be fighting you next season in the same division. So we'll see.
Yeah.
No.
Hopefully D1. I'll be there. Don't you worry.
All right. Yep. All right. Night. All right, ladies and gentlemen. As dramatic as it was in the end, the result that we most likely expected was the one that we got in the end. Alpine have nailed it in Division 2 this entire season, and to finalize it in Mexico City, they did it with a 1-2. So, any final words, BMF, before we go to the end of our Zoom Racing League season?
I just want to say thank you, everyone, especially you, Nathan, for being our D2 broadcast dude all season long. I just want to thank everyone else, for coming out and racing, and I hope we can do better every season. So I look forward to season 10.
Yes, and season 10 to come in a few weeks' time, I believe. I think we had a great season. So, like BMF said, thank you for all the action. Thank you for all the racing here. And for one last time in the season, good night, everyone. Peace.